And
Now,
lastly, in the NFL, go ahead, Nate.
I was just going to say, I think there might be a little conflict of interest to have Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football and an owner of a team also
Oh,
with Amazon.
that's a good point. I didn't think
Mhm.
about that. Well done.
So, lastly, in the NFL, Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll urges the NFL to seriously look into the turf versus grass situation. Do we view this as a player safety item that needs more attention?
I've always said, even like from high school, was my graduating class was the last class to play on grass, and like the next year they put the turf in, and sure, turf is great. You don't have to maintain it, you don't have to paint it. It's always ready to go year round. But I swear there are more injuries on turf because there is absolutely no give. I mean, you go down hard, bam, you're bouncing your head right back up. We had it this year in a game I had almost a month ago. Kid went down hard and he got up on the sideline. They had to take him off in an ambulance because he was like projectile vomiting in the trash can on the sideline and didn't know where he was, everything like that. And then ACL injuries. I never remember anybody hurting their knees growing up playing football. So those two are the most common injuries we see, and the two of the more serious injuries we see.
I agree with everything Nate just said. I think from watching the Ohio State game in that tall ass grass, you're going to see the performance and the entertainment value of football drop in that first year. If everybody went to grass, the performance of the players is going to be drastically different. Henderson, and when he tried to cut on that Northwestern grass, it was like watching a deer run, like a baby deer, trying to figure out like, oh, where are my legs? Because he tried to cut and the legs just went away because he's used to cutting on turf. It's going to be a big adjustment if they slip the grass instantly. Like it would be a thing. And then you got to look at like Iowa State has 4 practice fields, like 4 different turfed fields. Are you going to change those all to grass? So like you go to the NFL, that makes sense for the NFL, but how do you go from turf in the college football to just all grass in the NFL? It's a weird thing. We've kind of gone too far with turf. To go back is that's a weird thing to do, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So, I think using last week's Ohio State game is a bad example because it was also a absolute dumpster fire of a
Oh,
rainstorm with it.
I
Uh,
100% disagree with you.
well, there's a whole big difference between playing on grass in rain and just playing on grass.
I still believe that him cutting the way he cuts would be entirely different on turf.
I agree, but not comparing a rain-soaked Northwestern field to a turf.
Okay,
That's what
well,
I'm saying the difference is. And Northwestern's grass, obviously a wholly different situation. I want to
and
get
that's
deep into.
but that's where I'm going with it. I'm going to end the argument on my side. That like, what happens if Jerry Jones realizes that if I grow the ass or the grass 3 inches longer, I have an advantage? Like,
There's
are we going to set?
The NFL is going to regulate that.
They can't even regulate half the shit they have. Are you sure?
They can regulate the fields. Pretty sure they can do that. And that's for player situation as well. I'm going to end with I think grass. If we're going to talk about player safety and grass is what's better for player safety, then the NFL needs to seriously figure this out and put a time frame on it. Within the next 10 years,
Oh, that
this is
makes
how it will
sense.
be.
I agree with you there.
But I agree that I'm not going to say it's going to be a drastic difference in entertainment value, but there will be a difference. There's a reason why we called the LA Rams the greatest show on turf.
So what
As a
happens?
wholly different situation. Domes, again, probably come into a problem there.
Yes. Well, no, Arizona's figured that shit out.
It's in
My
Arizona. I'm
my
saying
question is,
Minnesota Dome.
what happens when you run into teams that share a stadium with
It already
baseball?
happened. It already happens.
Does it
Pittsburgh.
anymore?
Pittsburgh right now.
But isn't Pittsburgh on turf?
No, Pitt's grass.
It's
That's what I'm
grass.
asking.
And they have a weekend around Thanksgiving where there potentially can be an NFL game, a pit game, and high school football championships.
And it's all grass.
All grass.
I just don't want the Raiders thing where like I see people playing on dirt. Like that's not okay.
You're with the baseball. Yeah, I agree with the baseball thing.
Yeah.
Well, like that's what it's like in Pittsburgh after that weekend. It's like playing on dirt.
Mm-hmm.